part of my job is we work out in the Raukumara Ranges, and we do what we call we measure the understory, and I've been doing that pretty much for the last 20 years since I've been with the department. And what that entails is we've got permanently marked lines. They're 200 metres long, and every 20 metres we've got a permanently marked spot along these lines, and we've got a string with a peg on it, and the string would probably be 1.5 metres long. We poke the old peg in the ground and then do a big circumference with the string, and we measure everything in seedling, fern, whatever, sapling inside that radius. And with the spread of deer through the place in the last 10 to 15 years, we've just pretty much documented the vanishing of the understory. We used to, 15 years ago, it would take us, we could only do 2 plots because there was just that much to measure, all different heights and age classes of seedlings inside these measured areas. Well, now they're gone, so that's only been through the spread of deer. And to me, it's a ticking time bomb, because like us, trees grow old and die, and when they die, fall over, and there's no young trees to come up and take their place. And the nature of our country around here, it's the geology of the place is really erosion prone, and more so out in those ranges because they get some really steep terrain out there. And so once the trees go, there's that's what I mean by it's ticking time bomb. It's a bit horrible to think about it, really. Part of my job is taking some scientists from different countries, and they Japanese, a couple of teams of Japanese, French, scientists from the US, and they come here to study some of our catchments, like the Waironga Mai and Mango Porou and the Tapu Wairoa, because they study it because it's an example of what would happen if nothing's done about remedying the problem. It's an example of that. And so the erosion around here, it's less than 100 years old. Might be just over 100 years old, and it's world famous. So as far as erosion rates, I've been out with a Japanese team probably 3 years in a row, and they had stuck in all these various measuring devices that measured sediment flow and riverbed rise, and every time they'd come back, they used to think that someone had vandalised all their gear, but it had all been buried or washed away, and they were just shocked at how bad the erosion is. They said one of the last figures I've heard was 55 million tonnes goes past us here out into the marine annually. That's a shocking statistic. It's not like we've got land to burn, but the way we're washing it out to sea, you think we had. Yeah, I don't think we've got the luxury of time. What I think we need is another big cyclone boulder to come and give everyone a swift kick in the backside as to how vulnerable where we live is. I could take you to see some really ghastly wounds. One of the worst examples around here is Barton's Gully, and I think it's number one now as far as hectares, in size. And my mates from Landcare Research that study that slip, they say you can't do anything about it now. It's just gone past anything any chance of fixing it would have been 50 years ago. And so when you get to see the slip and the scale of it, when the kids, we call it the moon, because it looks like a lunar landscape. There's absolutely nothing green growing on it, nothing, and it's right into the heart of this hill. It's all collapsing, and it was a real life-changing moment for me. It was when my mate told me that. I asked him when was it ever going to stop, and he said when there's no more hill left. And so what that means from the riverbed where this gully discharges, from there down, he reckons it's going to add about 20 metres to the height of the riverbed, all the way down to the mouth. And that's just one gully. There's hundreds of them. And, the erosion is only half the story, because it all ends up in the marine, and one of the old marine biologist mate, he said it's just like an oil slick every time it rains. It's the same, it has the same impacts, because plants are your main drivers in ecosystems, and the same with seaweed. When there's less sunlight can go through all that silt, so it just means less seaweed. And he put it to me in a good way. It's like when you leave something lying on your back lawn for a week or two, and you lift it up and the grass has all gone yellow underneath. It's exactly what the old silt in the sea does. So less plants in the sea means less fish, less everything. I'd like to see that we've made it's the here and now that we make a move on the old the erosion, because it's waste time doing everything else here if it's all getting washed down the drain every time it rains. And I think we owe it to the future generations. This is where Ngati Porou's from, not anywhere else. And if it's fast vanishing down the Gurgler, because it cracks me up. I've heard the old Toitu Te Whenua, that whakatauki, and the land lives forever and man will perish, but hard case around here, the land's going just as fast as the people.